Welcome to the first edition of PWP Over the Glass right here on the Fired Up Network. So glad to have you with us this afternoon. Thank you for joining from wherever you may be joining. If you've been following along with the PWP Over the Glass on the Barn Burn TV network and Zingo TV channel 250, you are someone who's familiar with this show. So nothing has changed in terms of where we are placed. So that being said, welcome to the Fired Up Network. I hope you continue to enjoy the coverage that will be brought to you covering the Professional Women's Hockey Players Association as I continue to, do my due diligence with regards to providing coverage to the best in women's hockey. So that being said, the PWPA just finished their Hub City Tampa run where they had about 17 or so players up in Tampa for 2 weeks with the USPHL. It was a very successful event. The PWPA, I believe, only won 2 of the games that they played. Goaltender Katie Burt did fairly well. Players included Brianna Decker, just among some other names that are not coming to my head right now. But point being, a great event, a great initiative from the head coach of the New Hampshire region, which is Bill Flanagan, who fully funded the event for the USPHL. So, a great initiative, certainly. And, we're going to continue to see great things happen. But the question that keeps being asked to me is, when will there be a Dream Gap tour? When are the plans for 6 or 7 stops actually going to happen? Because we had heard that was going to happen. Question was when and how. Now, we are in a stay-at-home lockdown order, which was supposed to expire beginning of February, but has now been extended for an additional 2 weeks. So the real question at this point becomes, okay, so with the vaccine backup and everything in Ontario, at the very least, given that they were going to do a Canada-based Dream Gap tour supposedly through Ontario, where the PWPAs came to fruition, being that's where the CWHL's head office was as well, how are we going to pull this off? The USPHL bubble was done so very safely, and at the same time was done luxuriously. So how is this going to happen? So there continues to be a lot of unknowns to this, and Jana hasn't really addressed this recently as far as an update goes. But with the new lockdown orders extended yesterday, I would have to think that there will be one. If not, I will get in touch with a representative of the PWPA sometime in the next week or so and try to get an explanation of sorts and see what exactly the deal is. So anyways, until then, however, many PWPA players are taking part in the BFL Women's World Championship Evaluation Camp, which is happening at the Winsport Arena in Calgary, former home to the CWHL's Calgary Inferno and the home of Hockey Canada's Hockey Center. So that being said, let's get right into that, because that's really about as far as things are going to go for the time being. So that got underway starting January 24th after players joined the bubble within the week of the 21st. Head coach Troy Ryan spoke ahead of the event. I will see if there are explanations of sorts from him, but let me drive you through a frame by frame here from hockeycanada.ca as for what's happening and how the first week kind of looked. So from what I've heard, the first week all players were in their hotels and everything was done via Zoom again, given the short quarantine to ensure safety before hitting the ice at Winsport Arena. That included coaches and players alike. So that being said, I will kind of give you the rundown. Again, this BFL National Women's Team Training Camp is presented by Sobeys. So this included inter-squad games, scrimmages, and it's a great way to kind of see where the players are at, especially in a season where they haven't been able to play and haven't been skating really since the beginning of the pandemic, because things in Quebec and Ontario have worsened, and with the lack of vaccine being provided to Canada right now, it presents additional challenges for the players based in Calgary, Montreal, or again, Quebec, Ontario, and we've seen the hardships of that. And another question is the survival of the PLHPA, but that's a talk for another day. So let's get into the bubble a little bit and into what the first couple days have looked like. So an update from the 24th reads: the 35 athletes attending the BFL National Women's Team Training Camp presented by Sobeys are split into 2 teams, red and white. Inter-squad games are scheduled for January the 24th, the 27th, and the 29th. The next game tomorrow. The teams will have a 15-minute warm-up followed by 4 12.5-minute periods with a flood after 25 minutes and a 4-minute breakdown between periods. A 1-minute TV timeout will also occur at the 6-minute mark of each period, and any overtime played will be an additional 12 minutes. along with 5-on-5 play. Other situational play, 4-on-4, 3-on-3 will also be practiced. Now, game summary from scrimmage 1 reads like this. The first scrimmage at the BFL National Women's Team Training Camp presented by Sobeys was a defensive battle as Team Red defeated Team White 2-1. Brianne Jenner from Oakville, Ontario struck first for Team Red, beating the Team White goaltender Shay Tiley from Shallow Lake, Ontario in the final 2 minutes of the opening period. And Sophie Bate from Septiles, Quebec, even the score in the second period, beating Red goaltender Kristen Campbell from Brandon, Manitoba, before Natalie Spooner from Scarborough, Ontario scored the game winner with less than 8 minutes remaining in the third period. The teams will face off in the second training camp scrimmage on January 27th at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Now, Team Red looks like this from start to bottom. Goaltenders are Kristen Campbell and Anne Renee Desbiens. The defense is Mika Zandy Hart, Laura Fortino, Erin Ambrose, Jamie Bourbonnais, and Bridget Laquette. The forwards are Kristen O'Neill, Jill Saunier, and Rebecca Leslie, Blair Turnbull, Brianne Jenner, and Julia Gosling, and Emily Clark, Natalie Spooner, and Jessie Eldridge. For Team White, it looks like this. The goaltenders are Shay Tiley, Emryn Smashmeyer, Jocelyn Larocque, and Ella Shelton, Lorianne Rougeau on defense, joined by Renata Fast, Megan Mickelson, and Claire Thompson. And then the forwards are Jamie Lee Rattray, Lauren Gamble, and Sarah Potomac, Marie-Philippe Poulin, Sarah Fillier, and Anne-Sophie Bate, and Melody Daou, Victoria Bach, and Laura Stacy. So there are post-game highlights in addition to by the numbers and roster unveiling videos and whatnot. So lots to catch you up on the going-ons of these PWPA players who are in Calgary for the next little while taking part in this event. So again, the Women's World Championship as of now remains unknown, the status. There was a discussion on the 15th with Hockey Canada and the IIHF, but it doesn't sound as if a decision was made right now. But it's a positive sign that they're holding evaluation camp at the very least, initiating as if it does look like it will happen, which is great, seeing as the women's game has been critically undervalued by the IIHF. And so this is a positive step forward as they are preparing for it, assuming that this event wouldn't have even started had they been told otherwise. So, they'll do so in a bubble in Halifax and Truro, Nova Scotia. And this is the scene of where they were supposed to do it last year before it was canceled when the uprising of COVID-19 first really hit Canada, and Halifax was among the targeted regions where this happened. So, that being said, their coaching roster looks like this in addition to their players. So the coaches are Troy Ryan from Spry Field, Nova Scotia, who returns behind the bench for his second year as head coach. He will be joined by assistant coaches Corey Chevery from New Glasgow, Nova Scotia, and Ryerson University in the OUA, Doug Darrow from Arnprior, Ontario, and Cornell University in the ECAC, and Team Canada alumna Vicky Sanahara from Scarborough, Ontario, and the University of Toronto in the OUA, as well as goaltending coach Brad Kirkwood from Calgary, Alberta, and the University of Calgary in Canada West. The support staff that will work with Canada's national women's team during the 2021 season includes management consultant Cassie Campbell-Pascal from Brampton, Ontario, and part of the Sportsnet family, video coach James Emery from Calgary, Alberta, therapist Christine Atkins from Fort Macleod, Alberta, and Jamie Boyd from Minnedosa, Manitoba. The massage therapist is Andrea Purdy from Toronto, Ontario. Tina Atkinson is another one from Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, and with Halifax in the QMJHL. Strength and conditioning coach Jeremy Steinbach from Binbrook, Ontario, and with CSI Atlantic. Mental performance consultant Kim Thompson from Orleans, Ontario. Equipment managers Alana Golden from Aurora, Ontario, and Ryerson University in the OUA. I believe this is also this one is with the men's hockey team, while the women's hockey team one is with the Toronto Six in the NWHL at Herbrooks Arena, which is currently ongoing amid their bubble. And then with Golden is Sergei LeBlanc from Grand-Dige, and I hope I said that right, Grand-Dige, New Brunswick, and the Université de Moncton in the AUS. And then the national team manager is Tanya Kenny from Toronto, Ontario. So that's what the staff looks like behind this. And so with that, let's get into really the breakdown of this tournament and the involvement of those taking part. So Hockey Canada has invited 47 of the top players from across the country to attend the BFL National Women's Team Training Camp presented by Sobeys in Calgary, January 17th to the 30th. The camp will take place in a bubble environment closed to the public. 35 players will participate due to school commitments and other reasons, giving the coaching staff an opportunity to evaluate players in preparation for the 2021 IIHF World Championship in Halifax and Truro, Nova Scotia. While the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic has altered plans for in-person training and ice sessions, the team has continued preparations through virtual gatherings and regular meetings with the coaching staff. Our players have also been able to take advantage of regional hub centers in Calgary, Montreal, and Toronto for regular weekly ice sessions to aid in their preparations. In a statement from Gina Kingsbury, who is the head of the national women's teams, she said, "We recognize it has been a challenge for our players, coaches, and support staff, but we've made tremendous gains through our resiliency and strength. We stress to our athletes about controlling what they can, and that has been shown in their individual work off-ice training, weekly ice sessions, and staying committed through our virtual connections. We remain confident we are providing our athletes with an environment for success and are looking forward to coming together. I can't say enough about the commitment of our team as well as the support of our leadership at Hockey Canada and our board of directors since the cancellation of the 2020 IIHF Women's World Championship as we work towards our training camp and beyond. We are also thankful to our Alberta Health and Alberta Health Services AHS, who worked with us to ensure we are able to hold our camp in a safe and secure bubble. This comes following the conclusion of the IIHF World Juniors in Edmonton. Hockey Canada's focus and priority remains the health and safety of all participants and the community at large, and we will continue to follow all safety protocols, COVID testing, and safety measures as provided by AHS. So you got an idea of what this is going to look like, and for more information, you can visit Hockey Canada on their Twitter, as well as their other social media platforms. In Canada's national women's team, please visit hockeycanada.ca, and then follow them again on Facebook and Twitter at HC_women. So, there is a behind-the-scenes training camp video to get started. And for more information, of course, reach out to their PR consultants if needs be for any concerns or questions. Dominic Sayant, the Director of Communications of Hockey Canada, formerly with the Montreal Canadiens. And then you have Esther Mediza, the Manager of Communications, and Spencer Sharkey, also a Manager of Communications of Hockey Canada. And one of them will be on site for the World Championship, and they can all answer your questions from the head office of Hockey Canada in Calgary. So with that being said, let's continue to get into other notes within the bubble. So that being said, they are doing a bubble blog, much like the World Juniors did bubble video blogs, or vlogs, I should call them. So so far they have Emily Clark and Corey Chevery from the player and coaching side. We'll start with Clark. So the forward from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, talks about her first few days at the BFL National Women's Team Training Camp presented by Sobeys, how she is passing the time and adjusting to life in the bubble, and shares her excitement about getting back on the ice. So, hello from the National Women's Team Training Camp bubble. It has been a long time coming, but we are finally here. Yesterday was our first official day of training camp, which means we moved into our bubble. I've been in Calgary for the past few weeks, so I arrived at the hotel Sunday night by car as opposed to flying like most of the players and staff. One positive of driving to the hotel means I got to pack a large duffel bag full of snacks and treats with no baggage fee. Don't tell my teammates. I started my bubble experience by following some important safety protocols. When I arrived, I checked myself into the hotel, grabbed my key, and headed straight to my room. Once I got to my room, I unpacked all my things and made myself at home while I waited for my first COVID test and dinner to arrive at my door. We had quite a bit of downtime until our opening camp meeting, and I didn't know exactly what to expect from being in a bubble. I knew there would be a lot of downtime spent alone in our rooms, so I came prepared with my Nintendo Switch and some books. We had our first camp meeting Sunday night, and seeing all of the staff and the other players' faces on Zoom, it sunk in that we really are here, and we finally get to be back together doing what we love. Monday was a full day of quarantine in our own hotel rooms. It started with COVID testing and was followed by various meetings on Zoom throughout the day. We had meetings with coaches, medical check-ins, and mental performance session, and a workout with our strength and conditioning coach. Although it feels a little weird to have these meetings happen through a screen, there are meetings we would be having at a typical camp. In a way, it was refreshing to have that little bit of normalcy and nice to be back on our regular routine. I spent quite a bit of my downtime on FaceTime with other teammates who are also at camp and just down the hall from me. It seems a little funny to be video calling people who are in the same building, but it was nice to catch up and share some meals with teammates, even if it wasn't in person. The rest of my day was spent putting my brain back to work writing this blog, and if I'm being honest, too much of the remainder of my downtime was spent on TikTok. We are just 2 days in, and although we have yet to hit the ice, I am extremely excited and grateful to be here and under the same roof as everyone. It has been a long 11 months since the last time we were together as a group. I know everyone has been working tirelessly in that time to push themselves and make the most of the things we can control through this challenging year. I'm beyond excited for everyone to have a chance to showcase all the hard work that's been put into this year while competing and pushing each other towards our goals as a group. The next 2 weeks are going to be a lot of fun, and I can't wait to get back to work. Now, at this point, there are only 4 days left in the camp, and they're certainly going to make the most of it with scrimmages and whatnot. But with that being said, let's jump into the bubble blog from Corey Chevry. However, before we do that, Troy Ryan, when he spoke with Hockey Canada a couple days ago to kind of tee this up, the head coach of the Canada's national women's team spoke about the first opportunity for player evaluation during training camp. He also spoke of getting the players back into a competitive environment and how the group has stayed connected through the pandemic, doing so mostly through via Zoom, just given, the times. It's the sign of the times, as I like to say. So, Ryan is ready to finally get camp started, or he's ready to be running this camp. He's ready to be back to hockey action, whatever form it comes in. Again, still waiting word on the Women's World Championship, but he's looking forward to, getting the gang back together and getting the tournament underway, should they be given the official clearance to go ahead and do so. So that being said, I'm not going to spend too much time there, as I actually didn't transcribe it like I usually would. So that being said, the bubble blog with Corey Chevry, the assistant coach, talks about adjusting to virtual aspects of the BFL National Women's Team training camp presented by Sobeys, her excitement about returning to the rink and not wanting to go back to the hotel and gearing up for full team practices. So, hello from the bubble. Well, since I have already quarantined for 35 days in the past year, I have family on the East Coast. I figured, why not spend another 2 weeks inside of a bubble where I can actually do hockey things? The experience so far has been quite different than we're used to, but awesome all at the same time. Normally, before the athletes arrive, the staff spend some time getting to know each other, planning and collaborating in person, but we couldn't do that at this camp because of COVID protocols. However, Hockey Canada has done a great job building an online plan for the staff and coaches to get to know each other and create the same type of environment as past camps. The first 5 days of camp were completely virtual, but it was a great opportunity to prepare and get adjusted to what an online schedule entailed. The first day we could go to the rink and be around the athletes felt like Christmas morning. The protocols only allowed for small group training, but it was a really cool way for our team to work on skills and habits before full team practices. It was also a good opportunity for the coaches and staff to start forming relationships and having meaningful small group discussions. My first day at the rink, I spent 9 hours there, and it felt like 5 minutes. It has been so long since I've been able to spend time in an arena that I decided that I wanted to be there for the entire day, and I even joked that I wasn't going back to the hotel at the end of the night. I had a few small group sessions throughout the day, and it was great to see the athletes in their happy place while having fun and working hard. A new experience for me was having to coach practice from the bench. I wasn't allowed to be out there with the athletes due to restrictions on the numbers of people allowed on the ice. It was definitely a new challenge for my communication skills, but the players were great at setting up and running the drills themselves. I think one of the coolest things about being in the bubble is that when we get to the rink and see each other, everyone is really excited because of all the time we're spending alone. Although we don't get to spend too much time together in person right now, we've got a really great group of athletes and staff. I'm feeling very grateful to be heading into full team practices now and continuing to build on the foundation we have set. The athletes are very eager to get into the full swing of things, and they have really bought in and are excited to be here. Bye for now, Corey. So, that being said, let's do a by the numbers and really get into the roster crunch of PWHPA players taking part in this event. So taking a closer look at the attendees, which are the 35 taking part in the second step towards the championship, it looks like this. Alumna of the Esso Cup, Canada's National Women's U18 Club Championship, Bridget Laquette won the national title with the Westman Wildcats in 2009. Broderick Trophy winners Anne-Sophie Bataille was recognized as the best player in U Sports Women's Hockey in 2011-12, posting 13 goals and 37 points with McGill University. Meanwhile, Melody Daou was Canada's best with McGill for the following season, pacing the country with 54 points. 3. Patty Kazmar Memorial Award winners Lauren Gabel was named the best player in NCAA women's hockey in 2019, registering an NCAA best 40 goals and 69 points in 38 games at Clarkson University. And Renee Desbiens 2017 and Jamie Lee Rattray 2014 also took home the honor. Players who have not played in an international game with Canada's national women's team are Kristen Campbell, Julia Gosling, and Cassidy Suave, and Shay Tiley, all getting an opportunity to do so this year. Players who helped Canada win its most recent gold medal at the IIHF Women's World Championship include Laura Fortino, Brianne Jenner, Genevieve Lacasse, Jocelyn Larocque, Megan Mickelson, Marie-Philippe Poulin, Lorianne Rougeau, and Natalie Spooner, who were a part of the team that topped the podium at the 2012 Women's Worlds in Burlington, Vermont. 11. Players who have worn the C with Team Canada at the Olympic Winter Games, IIHF Women's World Championships, Nations Cup, or IIHF U18 World Championship, or in a U.S. series, being the rivalry series: Erin Ambrose, Jamie Bourbonnais, Emily Clark, Melody Daou, Sarah Fillier, Brianne Jenner, Rebecca Leslie, Marie-Philippe Poulin, Lorianne Rougeau, Jill Saunier, and Mika Zandihart. Now, Olympic silver medalists in Pyeongchang: Emily Clark, Melody Daou, and Renee Desbiens, Renata Fast, Laura Fortino, Brianne Jenner, Genevieve Lacasse, Brigitte Lequette, Jocelyn Larocque, Megan Mickelson, Marie-Philippe Poulin, Lorianne Rougeau, Jill Saunier, Natalie Spooner, Laura Stacey, and Blair Turnbull. Now, Ontario natives, more than any other province, they have 20. It is followed by Quebec 5, Manitoba 3, British Columbia 2, Nova Scotia 2, Alberta 2, and Saskatchewan 1. I should mention that the Olympic silver medalists in Pyeongchang are 16. Now, 22 players who were named to Canada's roster for the canceled 2020 IIHF Women's World Championship are on this roster. That includes Erin Ambrose, Victoria Bach, Jamie Bourbonnais, Emily Clark, Melody Daou, and Renee Desbiens, Renata Fast, Sarah Fillier, Lauren Gabel, Brianne Jenner, Genevieve Lacasse, Jocelyn Larocque, Emma Smashmeyer, Marie-Philippe Poulin, Jamie Lee Rattray, Lorianne Rougeau, Jill Saunier, Natalie Spooner, Laura Stacey, Claire Thompson, Blair Turnbull, and Mika Zandihart. Now, 30 of the National Women's Under 18 Championship participants are on this list, which includes 13 players who won a gold medal. Now, while that is repetitive, it kind of gives you the idea of the accomplishments made out by these players. Erin Ambrose, Victoria Bach, Jamie Bourbonnais, Sarah Fillier, Laura Fortino, Brianne Jenner, Rebecca Leslie, Kristen O'Neill, Cassidy Suave, Ella Shelton, Natalie Spooner, Laura Stacey, Claire Thompson, and 9 award winners: Bourbonnais, top defenseman; Fillier, MVP; Brigitte Lequette, top defenseman; Jocelyn Larocque, top defenseman; Leslie, MVP; Potomac, top forward; Marie-Philippe Poulin, MVP and top forward; Rattray, top forward; and Jill Saunier, most sportsmanlike player. Now, they also have 72 combined gold medals won at the Olympic Winter Games, 10 IIHF Women's World Championship, 9 Nations Cup, and 35 and IIHF U18 Women's World Championship, 18. Jocelyn Larocque and Megan Mickelson are the individual leaders with six top of the podium finishes each. Now, 78 in terms of the population of Mallard, Manitoba, hometown of Brigitte Lequette, the smallest of any community represented on the roster. 1,264 is the combined points, with 523 goals and 741 assists for the 29 skaters in their international careers with Canada's national women's team, Canada's national women's development team, and Canada's national women's under U18 team. Marie-Philippe Poulin, 90-94, 184, leads the way across all 3 programs. So, again, lots of accomplishments, certainly. And as we continue to dig through that, relevancies to the PWHPA, the last thing we're going to touch on today is where are they now? And that's with Jayna Hefford, who spoke with Team Canada recently at Olympic.ca. So, speaking with Jacob Mitchell, this is Where Are They Now series. Olympic.ca gives you a glimpse at what's new in the lives of some great Team Canada Olympians since they said goodbye to their careers as athletes. A 5-time Olympian and one of the most decorated hockey players of all time, Jayna Hefford had an exceptional career on the ice with Team Canada and has continued to have great influence on her sport. Hefford won 4 gold medals and a silver in the Olympic competition, but she is also a 7-time world champion and 5-time world silver medalist who ranks number 2 all-time in games played with 267 and goals scored 157 for Canada's national women's team. In 2018, she was inducted to the Hockey Hall of Fame. That came 2 years after the CWHL created the Jayna Hefford Trophy for the MVP, as voted on by the players. Her professional career included 5 years in the CWHL and 9 years in the NWHL, which she scored a total of 352 goals. Read more about Jayna Hefford's accomplishments. You can do so at Olympic.ca and what looks to be Yeah, that's at Olympic.ca. So, anyways, after announcing her retirement as a player in September 2015, Hefford didn't move too far away from the ice. The following year, she became a full-time assistant coach with the University of Toronto Varsity Blues women's hockey program, for which she had once played. In July 2018, Hefford was appointed interim commissioner of the CWHL. After the league unfortunately had to shut down for economic reasons, Hefford became the operations consultant for the Professional Women's Hockey Players Association, known as the PWHPA. Hefford and the PWHPA continued to work to promote and advance professional women's ice hockey in North America. Hefford and the 125 members of the PWHPA advocate for better representation and more equitable resourcing for hockey leagues in North America. She believes women's involvement at the NHL All-Star Games has been a big win towards advancing the game for the next generation. Young girls need to be able to see women playing the game. Visibility is key to keeping girls in the game, she said. Young girls are smart enough at a very young age to realize what is a realistic dream for them. So you can continue to follow Jane's journey on Instagram and on Twitter. On Twitter, she is at J16H, where she continues to help advance the women's game. And speaking of, helping advance the game, let me put out a statistic here shared by John Buchagros. So the women's PWHPA All-Stars, 850 plus players competing over the 6-week hub event, 300 plus league games played, 50 plus D1 committed players at the hub, 13 players on NHL Central Scouting Players to Watch list, All-Star games, and Lightning's Dave Michigan, Philip Esposito broadcasting game. So that was at the USPHL bubble. With regards to what's related with, again, the PWHPA All-Stars involved. So some really cool stuff there. And other than that, I will note that Jocelyn Larocque was recently given the honor of being named Manitoba's Indigenous Female Athlete of the Decade, which is a huge accomplishment as a representative and player of the Professional Women's Hockey Players Association. So a huge congrats to Jocelyn Larocque, a former member of the CWHL's Brampton and Markham Thunder. So aside from that, there's not a whole lot to touch on as we start to dial down with about 4 minutes, give or take, left to go. But make sure you're following along with at PWHPA, as they do plan on getting something going eventually. It's just a matter of time as to when that will be. But Jayna Hefford recently did take part in a Maple Leafs broadcast prior to the NHL season, along with Cheryl Pounder, I believe it was. So it's great to see the representation of the PWHPA and women's hockey greatness being shared on live TV and in partnership with the Toronto Maple Leafs organization. To that, she spoke about the growth of women's hockey and the PWHPA's mission, which it continues to be, and hopefully they will continue to push through this and get to the other side. But until then, and make sure you continue to follow and support the PWHPA and its players. You can order merchandise, and all the funds go towards helping create a better situation for their players. So, just something to keep in mind. But, other than that, former teammates, again, Cassie Campbell-Pascal and Vicky Sanahara taking part in the National Women's training camps and World Championships moving forward, again, should they be able to get the clearance to do so this year. Other than that, last thing I'll note is Devin Levi recently sat with the Hockey Masterclass and spoke about the importance of representing, the legends such as Jayna Hefford, Kim St. Pierre, Vicky Sanahara, and many others on their mats during the World Juniors. This was, I believe, right after the tournament back on January 15th, just about over a week ago. So, you see the important push that women's hockey is having, and even while only a small number are getting to play, having been, again, the USPHL bubble that took place in Tampa Bay, the representation, is there. They're not being forgotten about. The growth of women's hockey isn't being forgotten about. So just, something to, keep on the top of mind as they continue to, push in their direction for what they believe is best for the state of women's hockey in the future. So that being said, I'll continue to have updates on the tournament, or on the PWHPA and their plans for the upcoming season and the Women's World Championship, that tournament coming up. But with that, I'll close with the remarks from Katie Burt, who said, "We can't thank the USPHL enough for their hospitality and professionalism. Also, a huge thanks to Cyclones junior coach Bill Flanagan for donating his time and resources to help us prepare for the Secret Deodorant Dream Gap Tour." So, Haley Skamura also spoke not only about that, but about the last game, which was a 5-3 win for the PWHPA. And again, the representation is coming from everywhere, from personalities to athletes of not just Toronto, but the Arizona Coyotes and all around the NHL. So certainly an awesome initiative to see, and make sure you continue to stay tuned at PWHPA on Twitter and the PWHPA.com for all your updates with regards to moving forward in what they hope to be some sort of a Canadian Dream Web Tour for year 2. So that does it for me on this episode. My name is Justin Levine. You can make sure to follow me on Twitter at Justin Levine HBS. I'll provide those updates as they start to becoming available, and whether that be in the next couple weeks or next couple days, who knows? I mean, we're in a lockdown. I do know that the stay-at-home order now pushes again through the middle of February, so time will tell. But until then, stay safe, wash your hands, keep your distance, and with that, I'm out. Justin Levine, signing off.